One of my favorite videos to watch this time of year from booktubers is a cozy fall reading vlog, so that is exactly what I wanted to bring to you today. October has been a bit of a busy month for me though, and I haven't gotten as much footage as I would like to, but I will show you what I do have. So in this video I talk about the horror books that I'm reading, the horror movies that I'm watching. I make this very spooky fantasy themed book nook for my bookshelf from Cute Bee, who sent this box to me for free. I've personally been gifted or purchased myself the book nooks from Row Life, so I was very curious to try the Cute Bee book nook, and I'm excited to share with you the spooky and or cozy things that I am doing this month. So without further ado, let's go into the vlog. I started the morning with my typical yogurt, cereal, apples breakfast while watching the Great Canadian Baking Show, which is just an annual cozy fall tradition, and I worked on my day 5 Inktober drawing, which was binoculars, while I watched the show and ate my breakfast and drank my coffee, and it was just perfect. Now I'm about to go on like a 7 to 10k run. My brother is doing a 30k and I'm just meeting him in the middle, so I'm gonna soak in some outdoor time this fall with some beautiful falling leaves and cool weather. And then I just found out that Olga Tokarczuk just like a week ago came out with a horror novel. And honestly, I've only read one Olga Tokarczuk so far, which is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, which is a kind of mystery thriller novel that kind of bends the genre. And I gave that book a 4-star, but I think if I read it now, I might rate it higher. And I'm just so excited to read everything else Olga Tokarczuk has written, which is a lot. She is a Nobel Prize winning author. I have Flights and The Book of Jacob at home, but I'm just stoked to read a horror novel this month and by such a renowned author. So after my run, I'm going book shopping, and then The Substance is out in movie theaters right now. I don't know a ton about it. I think that it's probably like body horror and sci-fi. I'll have to update you after I've seen it, but all I know is that people walk out of the theaters during this one. So I want to see how I fare. And that is my cozy fall update for now. My brother should be here any minute, finishing the first 15 kilometers of his run, and then I'm going to join him for the next 7 to 10 kilometers. We'll see how I feel, and I will update you later. Hello again. I have updates for you. It's a couple days later, but the run did go very well. I went about 8 kilometers, only a bit of soreness in my legs partway through, but it went away, and it really got me reinvigorated to pick up running again. So we'll see if I can maintain that alongside what a busy month it is turning out to be. Secondly, I did find The Impusium by Olga Tokarczuk, and I think about 80 pages through. Let me check. I am 82 pages through this book, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's not like a page turner. This man has checked into essentially a health resort. It's subtitled A Health Resort Horror Story because he is ill, and there's this like valley in between the mountains that is supposed to have really good air, where people are supposedly supposed to get better just from breathing, basically. So they are basically just prescribed walks and breathing. And very quickly, somebody dies in the place that he is staying, and it's slightly mysterious, but ultimately the guy showed up like that day, so we don't get a lot of insight into what really happened. I would say the spookiest thing about this book so far is actually the way that it's narrated. So I don't know whose voice, whose perspective we are listening to this story be told from, but it's really eerie, but oddly comforting. I'm trying to even think what it reminds me of that I've read before. I know. I can't remember what it's called right now. Small Things, The Beauty of Small Things. I don't know, it's by the same man that wrote Name of the Wind, and then he wrote this novella instead of writing the 3rd book. And the narration of this book kind of, to me, has the vibes of something lurking that sees everything going on around it, but ultimately it kind of seeps underground and is witnessing from the cracks and corners, and nobody notices it or them. But it doesn't, to me, feel like haunting yet. Like, it feels almost like cozy. It's kind of giving me this vibe of creepy crawly things, but not ones that are meant to be scary, that you're not afraid of. They're kind of like watching out for you. They're not after you. One of the horror movies I watched this month actually has been Cobweb, which I did like and was spooky until the end. I wasn't totally satisfied with the resolution of the story. I felt like they had a lot of things to wrap up and justify, and they didn't quite get there. But the reason I bring it up is because Cobweb, there is a voice in the walls that has been like observing this little boy for quite some time, but it's like a comforting voice to him. So that's the vibes I'm getting. As far as I know, the actual main character of this book doesn't know about this thing that is observing him, whose perspective I think that we're reading from. It's a very intriguing book, but ultimately I might make slow progress on it because I also started Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Yes, this has been on my shelf for at least 2 years or so now, maybe just under 2 years, and it's a graphic novel horror story. It is about spirals that are taking over this town. I am about maybe a fifth of the way through, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Nothing so far that's happening is coherent. It starts to get spooky, but then the plot kind of takes a turn and it gets less spooky again, and I'm not totally following if there's like a logical narrative yet, and I'm wondering if there will be, or if there's just going to be a bunch of instances of spirals in kind of like intriguing and almost intellectually stimulating places. I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, I am only like a fifth of the way through at most, so maybe I can't give you too many spoilers yet. And please skip ahead to the point in the video that I'm not holding this book anymore if you don't want any spoilers. But for instance, somebody that was obsessed with these spirals dies and are cremated, and their ashes kind of like blow out of the chimney, I think, and turn into spirals in the air and ultimately settle into this lake. And then somebody else gets clay from that lake that has pieces of the ashes in it and starts to make pots, and those pots get really messed up in the kiln and covered in spirals because they had the ashes of these spiral-obsessed people. So it's kind of really out there, but really beautiful illustrations, of course, and really entertaining, so I'm excited to keep reading this one. And then one other piece of horror content that we must talk about, because it is one of the best pieces of content that I've consumed like ever, is The Substance. In the previous clip, I mentioned that I think that The Substance is like a sci-fi body horror, and I wasn't totally off, but I wouldn't personally call this sci-fi. I've thought a lot about it, and after watching the movie, I thought maybe this is sci-fi, maybe it's just magical realism, and now I'm fully in the non-sci-fi camp. Like, I wouldn't call this a sci-fi at all, but it definitely is body horror, and it's definitely like heavy social commentary, but not to a point that it's not entertaining anymore. It's highly riveting. I feel like I could watch this movie again and again and again because it is just so beautifully shot, and the shots that you're looking at, they are equally divided between really aesthetically pleasing and like you obsess over how beautiful it is to you obsess over how repulsive it is and how disgusting it is and like a car crash you can't look away kind of thing. So if you're not familiar with The Substance, the main character is an older actress turned like fitness influencer, and she has a show on TV, but nobody's really watching anymore, and the guy that runs the program really wants to bring in a new hot hit. And he judges women solely based on their appearance, and so she loses her job, she is mortified, she's embarrassed, but then she is slipped a note by a doctor that says the substance changed his life. So she gives the number a call and she picks up the substance. And what the substance is like this kind of pseudo-scientific chemical process that separates the best version of yourself from yourself, but everything that the best version of yourself is came from you, and so it's kept reiterated that it all is you. You are one. You and your spawn are one and the same. You need each other to survive. So the deal is that this older woman who just lost her job can live her best life again, but she can only do so half the time. So every 7 days, she is required to switch back to her older so-called worse self because she needs to like refuel her body so that her younger, better self has fuel to live her life. So that is the game that is being played, and of course there's huge commentary on women's body image, shame around aging, taking for granted your body, depression, body dysmorphia, beauty standards of both men and women. And this movie is body horror, and it does not hold back. There is full frontal nudity, there is monstrosity, there is blood, there is gore, there is needles, there is slicing. It's like all in there, and I was absolutely here for all of it. It might be one of my favorite movies of all time now. If you can handle gore, if you can handle body horror, I highly recommend. There are no jump scares. It's not a very scary movie. I had my family members who don't deal well with horror movies watch it, and they were absolutely fine. So I would not say it's a scary movie, but it is a gory movie at times. There's also other types of grossness in it, like grossness around food. Anyway, moral of the story, read Olga Tokarczuk, read Junji Ito, and watch The Substance. I will update you when I have done more spooky cozy things. It's been a minute, and by a minute, I do mean like 2.5 weeks. I'm having another cozy day today, so I'm gonna update you in just a minute, but before I went home, I wanted to show you that I got a pumpkin pie blizzard, but it's not pumpkin pie because it's too late in the season now to get the pie pieces. They're sold out. So instead, it's a pumpkin cheesecake blizzard, and I think maybe I always have to get pumpkin cheesecake this time of year now instead of the pumpkin pie. Anyway, this is one of my fall traditions, pumpkin spice latte and pumpkin pie blizzard. But I will see you in just a moment for another cozy update. I'm back from Dairy Queen, finished my pumpkin cheesecake blizzard, which was delicious and definitely worth it. And I figured that I will watch some more Great Canadian Baking Show and put together my Cute Bee DIY book nook. It is themed The Gate of Wonderland. I don't know what I need to actually make this, but let's find out.
Have 6 people left baking in the tent.
Well, I didn't quite finish my book nook. I'm maybe 3/4 of the way done, but then I got to like the parts with electricity and it's kind of getting out of my depth. So I think I'm gonna ask my boyfriend to finish it for me. I am so proud of my patience thus far, though. It helps that I watched like 3 entire episodes of the Great Canadian Baking Show. It is only 9:20 p.m. right now, so I'm not gonna go to bed, but I am feeling kind of sleepy, so I think I might pick up a book and end the vlog here. But if you're watching this when it comes out, keep an eye out on my community tab, because if I get a good picture of my Halloween costume, then I will share it. I'm planning on going as Sue from The Substance because that movie was just so flippin' good. I'll see you in another video again soon. Bye!